Hello again, and welcome to another installment of our online Children's Moment. My name is Pierce Fetters, and I head up the family ministries at the Chicago Temple. And it's so good to have you with me for this last Sunday in the Christian calendar. Now, that might be a bit confusing because our calendar, right, 2022 doesn't end until December 31st, right? That's the last day of the year. But in the Christian calendar, it works a little bit differently. The Christian calendar always ends on the week before Advent. If you remember, Advent is our countdown to Christmas, and the week before Advent we call Reign of Christ Sunday, and it's the last day of the Christian year. So a little fun fact for you all, and just get ready, the countdown to Christmas is coming soon, starting next week. But before we do that, let's look at Reign of Christ and what that means. To do so, we're going to go to the book of Jeremiah, which is found in the Old Testament, and is unsurprisingly about the prophet Jeremiah. So, in those days, God spoke to prophets and gave them messages to then give to God's people, the Israelites. We see in the Old Testament there are many books about prophets and the prophecies that they were given by God. Jeremiah is no different. Jeremiah was the son of a priest, and the first time God spoke to Jeremiah was when he let him know that he would be a prophet to all nations. To which Jeremiah responded, "Not me, God, I am just a child," because he was younger when he received this. But God answered, "Don't be afraid, I am with you. I will put the right words in your mouth." The words God gave Jeremiah weren't always happy news. Often the words made people angry at Jeremiah, even though he was just giving them the words from God. But the words also at the same time gave hope to God's people. They only had to listen. Once, God gave Jeremiah words about good and bad shepherds. But the words were really about the kings of Israel. Listen carefully, and let's think about what the kings might hear when they hear these words. "You shepherds who send off sheep in all directions, watch out. These are God's words. This is how you tend to my people. You drive them away north, south, east, and west. You don't take good care of them, so I will make you sorry. I will gather the sheep myself. I will bring them to my good pasture. Then they will be healthy and have many lambs. I will find shepherds who will care for them with love. Then my sheep will not be afraid, and nothing bad will happen to them, and none of them will be missing." Can you imagine if you were a king and you knew you were one of the shepherds being described, and all Jeremiah said is that you are doing a bad job as shepherd? I imagine the kings didn't feel happy. Because let's think about it. Do you like being told when you're wrong? I don't. Right? And so that's what Jeremiah had to do often. But Jeremiah was also giving the people a promise if they only would have listened. The promise was, I'm going to send someone who's different than the kings you're used to. I'm going to send someone who's going to be known as the Good Shepherd. Have you ever heard that phrase before, the Good Shepherd? Do you know who that refers to when we say the Good Shepherd? When I've heard it used, I've most often heard it used in describing Jesus. And Jesus is called a king, and yet he rules in a very different way from earthly kings. He doesn't have an army, he doesn't have a land to call home, right? He doesn't have a big golden crown or sit up on a throne. Instead, as we know, Jesus came, spread his message, and then was killed on a cross. And that wasn't a way you usually killed kings. And so we see Jesus shows us another way. Jesus shows us how to be better shepherds in our own lives. And by shepherds, I mean the way we live, the way we act, the way we treat people, encourage people, lift them up, and help them. And so as we think about Christ the King Sunday, here's what I want you to think about. How can you be a good shepherd in your own life? So maybe that's in school. How are you a good person when you interact with the other students? That could be at home. How are you a good son or daughter or child? And how you honor your parents, right? This comes up in a lot of different ways. But the goal of Christ the King Sunday is for us to think about that in the church and as Christians, we see the world doesn't always work in the way we would hope it to. And Jesus has told us how the world should work. So sometimes we need to act a little differently and show Christ's love to all around us. And that would be a way of honoring Christ, who is our King and has shown us this other way. So that's my hope for this week. I can't wait for Advent. I am looking forward to another church year. We're getting ready to start year A. We're restarting again. It goes A, B, C, and then back to A. So I'll see you next week. I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving break. And I hope I see some of you around Christmas time. Good to see everyone. Have a wonderful day. And I'll see you next time. Bye.